Lloyd, thank you so much for being
Right.
on the show, to join your podcast. I'm very excited. You're my first international guest, which is extremely exciting.
Love
Yeah,
being the first of anything. That's awesome. Thanks for having me on. I'm
abs-
pumped.
yeah, absolutely. So, if you wouldn't mind just telling everybody kind of who you are, just a real quick
Yeah.
summary of who you are and what you do.
Yes, sure. I'm an online entrepreneur. I built a network marketing business from scratch. And I'm also an author of a book called Money Grows on Trees, and a course. And so I teach people how to plant and grow their own money tree so they can create financial independence. Um, and my past, I'm a lawyer by profession, and I got out of that industry into real estate. Um, So I have tremendous amounts of sales experience in real estate and traditional business. And then I moved into the online space and been there for the last 7 years. And so I'm just excited about online business. I love it, but also helping people learn about money and create multiple streams of income so they can, leave their job if they want to do that. Have more flexibility. So that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, awesome. And there was a really cool I was on your LinkedIn kind of looking, doing some research on you, and on there it says that you were one of the people in commercial real estate involved with the building of the sixth largest development in the world. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when I actually cut my teeth on commercial sales and leasing and real estate when I was 20. I got my full real estate license, and then I became a lawyer in property, but got into projects and real estate development. At 25, I landed a job as an assistant development manager for the sixth largest project in the world, which is called Yas Island, and it's where the Abu Dhabi motor track is for the inaugural. Well, they still have the Grand Prix there, the F1 Grand Prix. So I was involved in the development of the track, the F1 track, the Ferrari World Theme Park, which is the largest freestanding roof in the world, multiple hotels, golf course developments, residential developments, master plan developments, but it's the sixth largest project in the world. So yeah, that was where I started at 25 in the corporate world.
Man, 25, and that's what you were doing. That's great. So,
Yeah,
so tell me, kind of bring it back. We'll kind of have that be, the middle ground for, because I
yeah,
like I like to learn a lot about people's stories and
yeah,
backgrounds. I think a lot of
yeah,
these entrepreneur shows, they kind of just focus on all the really good stuff, and they don't really dive deep into what really made that person, that entrepreneur, who they are and what they did.
yeah.
So I want to learn more about, what were you doing before that, before in your early years, and kind of what your deeper story is, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a big sales tycoon in insurance sales, and he left school in grade 10, so he didn't have a tertiary education. But when I grew up, had a little bit of entrepreneurial flair. I used to like selling stuff, yard sales, and I started a car washing business when I was 11, and so I just kind of had that desire to start something of my own. And then I went to university like everyone else did, and I did pre-med. I did a biomed science degree and graduated when I was 19. I went away overseas traveling for a year, came back and didn't want to do medicine. It wasn't my bag. It wasn't my thing. I did a master's in international business, like an MBA, and I graduated at 21. Then I worked in real estate for a stint. Got my real estate license. Love selling. Love commercial sales and leasing. Love learning about real estate investing. And then I went back and got my law degree. And so my dad was really influential in terms of, hey, man, you need to keep going to school. I was like, what? They didn't teach me anything there. But he never had an education, so he really encouraged it. So I became a lawyer when I was 24. So I had 3 university degrees under my belt, 8 years of uni, 16 semesters full time. And, I was just like, study, study, study. And so I became a lawyer. I got admitted to the Supreme Court as a lawyer in 2008. But then I got out of that industry because I was just like, oh, it's gross. It doesn't suit me. Didn't really want to do it, and landed this epic job, in projects in the Middle East. I remember doing a phone interview, and they're like, hey, do you want a job over here? And I met the guy that actually set it up for me in a bar, and so he said they're looking for good people. So I remember doing the phone interview in Sydney. I flew down to Sydney to get into investment banking, but that's when Bear Stearns collapsed and the whole global financial crisis happened. So they weren't hiring. So I got this gig, and I was like, I don't even know where Abu Dhabi is. But I'm one of those people that says yes and then figures it out, so like what Richard Branson talks about in his book. And so I said, yeah, I'm in. I'll come. I don't even know where Abu Dhabi is on the map, but I'll go. So I remember jumping on a plane, going over, landing this great, amazing job. It was going to be like flying into Italy to talk to the Ferrari team, talking to Warner Brothers about theme parks on this project. And I had no freaking experience in that area at all. So I remember at 25 driving onto this island, the 6th largest project in the world, with a hard hat on, going, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm way out of my depth, but how cool is it that, that I'm here?
Yeah.
I'm just going to figure it out. So I had that ability to like, and I found my feet there, and I had a really good mentor there that taught me how to, taught me management. And that was really effective. Taught me I learned how to financial model there. So I learned financial modeling. I took courses. I studied finance with a charter exam with more than an MBA. So I completed my first 2 levels of the 3 levels of that while I was working in this project space, and had a good mentor, and that was it. And he taught me lots of stuff. But one thing I learned when I was there was like, I didn't want a job, and I had a job there. I remember commuting an hour and a half to work. And I remember, so I did that, had a good mentor, learned lots of stuff. But what I learned was, commuting an hour and a half to work in the morning, an hour and a half home, listening to podcasts, listening to audio books about entrepreneurship. I just needed to get out of there. The only time I ever had a wage was in those 5 years in Abu Dhabi working in a job. And after that, I remember writing my resignation letter and I'm out. And I ended up joining my dad in traditional real estate business back here in Australia. And that's where I learned how to sell and market. And
yeah, so you did a lot of schooling and got lots of like really awesome resume builders and bullet points on that, and everything looks really good on paper, right? But it wasn't what you really wanted. But did you know that was what you didn't want when you were going into it, or were you kind of just, I'm gonna feel it out and we'll see where I
was gonna feel it out because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, like many people. So I just tried, I studied, I completed every degree that I did. So I'm not one to like go into something and stop it. I want to complete what I start. And that was a trait that I learned doing that. And I learned lots of stuff. I met a lot of people, but it really, university is, it's just not a great way to learn. And it certainly doesn't help entrepreneurs. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't go to university. Yeah. Certainly not for business anyway. It's a waste of time. So, and if I had an opportunity to be an entrepreneur back then, if I hadn't had been influenced by my dad, I would have got into business earlier. Probably would have got into real estate earlier. That always attracted me because it's a sales-driven environment, performance-based, people, it's cool. And so I did end up getting into that eventually. And that's where it's a great place to learn entrepreneurship. So I did a lot of degrees. It opened up an opportunity for that job over there overseas. So I can't say it didn't serve me. It gets me in a lot of front doors. And it sounds cool. People listen to me when I tell them I'm a lawyer. They go, "Oh, you're a lawyer. Wow." I'm like, "Yep." So now I've got credibility. But that's about it.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. Because like I told you, I was on the commercial side of things. And it's funny because everybody that I told, and I went to, college, and my whole thing was a real estate. It was finance and a real estate concentration, which was all commercial, financial modeling, kind of cash flows, all that fun, all that fun stuff. Yeah. And, every time I told somebody I was in real estate, they just assumed I was a real estate agent selling homes when I was really on, the corporate side and appraisal when I first got started with everything. And, but when I told them, I said, no, I'm in commercial real estate and I work these, these large scale deals. And like, oh, wow. And I didn't like what I was doing with that because I didn't have the exposure to people. And they tell you you're an entrepreneur in there, but I still have to show up to an office and come in at office hours and have a boss and everything. And I was like, this is not what I'm looking for right now. And then I made the switch to being a real estate agent, where I have an awesome brokerage right now and a really great team that supports me, and that's been really key. So, and that kind of set my segue into my next question, which is, who is the person that's kind of given you the most mentorship, and what did that look like for you?
It's been my dad. So when I came back from overseas, so from Dubai, I came back and we got into business together in real estate, and he has a small project sales and finance business, and it was kind of like on the rocks after the GFC. So I came in and we just had to rebuild the thing, basically. But he taught me direct selling, so face-to-face selling. Like I had to go into So we'd cold call out of the office, and I'd get to go into houses and sit in front of their kitchen bench, walk into the house not knowing them, and then 2 hours later have sold them a $500,000 house. That was the skill set that I developed there, which is really rad. It's cool. It's amazing skill set to be able to do that. So he taught me how to do that, but also I was able to get my hands dirty in all parts of the business: the marketing, the lead generation, the conversions, the referrals, the customer management, the IT system, the office. I did all the deals for the office leasing. I just did everything, sunk my teeth into everything. So it was all parts of a traditional sales-driven business that I learned in a baptism of fire, because it was like on its butt, ready to like go broke, and we built it back up. So it was,
Wow.
it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at the time. Didn't feel good at the time, but now I
No,
appreciate it.
yeah. Hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah. So great skills. Yeah. He
So
taught me
what?
the most.
Yeah. So what do you think is most important then? Do you think it's hard work or talent?
Well, it's definitely not talent. Desire will always outplay talent. So being hungry will always beat talent. Talent, yeah, I think talent's just, I don't even know. In the world of entrepreneurship, I don't think it's talent serves anyone.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm particularly talented in anything. I just was dogged. I was like perseverance. Those characteristics of perseverance, hunger, desire, optimism, positive thinking, warmth and empathy for people, care, high standards, ability to get to 80% and execute, not being a perfectionist. Those things are better traits in entrepreneurship than having talent. I don't think anyone's talented as an entrepreneur. I think it's just the only way to learn is to be gritty in the field, getting bashed up. That's the only way to learn.
Yeah, and stick with it. I mean, and you
Yeah.
already mentioned it in that awesome list. I mean, if you want anything out of this podcast, I mean, probably the intro I'm going to do is just it's going to be that little list that you just put, because that really is the short list for any type of success in any career, job, or entrepreneurship, whatever. Because it really is
Totally.
just pushing through and having hope and optimism and staying with it and consistent
Yeah.
and trying to grow within it. So that was perfect. So what and you talked a little bit, how close to failure did you come in your endeavors? And because you mentioned that it was kind of coming through the crisis and trying to build the business back up. What was
Yeah.
the hardest part about either doing that, or was there another time that you guys were like, if we don't make this one sale or we don't walk into that house without a deal, we're done? Was there anything like that?
Yeah, there actually was almost exactly like that. So I came back. I'd saved up some money from my job overseas. I was paid US dollars. I brought that back. I started investing at a young age, about 25. So I had some investment, like share investments and a bit of cash I saved. I didn't spend over there like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to come into my dad's business for commission only off the bat. Like, it was commission only immediately. There's no retainer, no wage, nothing.
Yeah.
And I came to this business that was on its knees, and massive outgoings, too much overhead. The lead system was telemarketing. It was an old lead system. There was no online. There was no website. It was just beaten up.
Wow.
And yeah, it was brutal. And so I'm like, okay, we need to right this ship. It was going down. And it got to a point, I remember on a Saturday, I went up to get a phone that I bought for my dad's birthday for him. And I went upstairs to our office, and it was locked. We were locked out of our office for non-payment of rent.
Really?
And I was like, oh God. And so I remember having a staff meeting downstairs in the cafe with the staff. And we had 3 weeks basically to go and I had to go and find a new office. We had to figure out what we were going to sell to get enough money for the security deposit for the bond to get a new office premises. Had to pay the staff enough to keep them. They were our marketing staff, our telemarketing staff. And I remember walking around with my dad, looking at office premises on this just urgency, hustle. And it started to rain on us. And I was like, this is brutal. It's like the bottom, right? It couldn't get any worse. And then we found a place. We got a security deposit done. We sold one of the cars we had. And I sold some rifles I had too. I remember hustling them at the local rifle shop to get enough money. Put an old house we had on the market, sold that quick. Just created capital really fast. Liquidated whatever we had and created enough money to put the security deposit down for 3 months rent. Moved into a new office, got enough to put the phones in. The staff came in and they started jumping on the phones and getting us appointments. And I remember there was this one appointment I had to do, like it was an hour and a half drive from here. And it was like, I have to settle this deal because we need this money. And I was stressing out. And my dad just said to me, he goes, listen, you can only do your best and your best is enough. And I was like, that's good. I'm just going to do my best. And so I went out there, did the deal, and I was like, it's settled. We got enough money. It helped us to fund the next parts of the business. And we got another one and then another one. And then there's other major things that happened in that time. Like we had a builder that was creating a fraudulent building company within inside itself. And we were in court with them to get security out from them. So there was a civil litigation happening. There was a personal injury claim litigation happening. So we were in court with 2 court cases. There was lots going on. There was lots. It was like, you couldn't even plan it. Then there was real estate holdings with debt where the tenants fled. They just left. And so we had this real commercial premises that was just bleeding cash. I mean, it was just a nightmare. So it was intense. It was a baptism of fire in terms of entrepreneurship. Plus, I could only make money when I did deals. So all the other stuff was just like just doing it without any return. It was like saving the family business basically.
Yeah.
And it was all hands on deck, man. It was just this. Yeah. Anyway, we came out of it and we changed our lead system, reinvigorated the business, dropped all the overheads, the staff, the properties, everything. Got it down to running on an oily rag, our own office premises, small, couple staff, all inbound lead generation from Facebook, and went nationwide, did things on the phone, just very lean business, and it survived and now it's thriving.
Yeah. So is that kind of the lesson that you learned was just, were you guys spread too thin, or what was the biggest takeaway for you guys?
Many things that, I mean, the business didn't innovate because the technology was beyond my dad's scope. Mm-hmm. They hadn't adopted it. They hadn't adopted multiple income streams from like superannuation property. There was too many overheads. There was just so many things happening at once. It was a lack of change and innovation that killed it. And we had to innovate, and we innovated so fast because I'm an innovator. I come in and just innovate, and I had to innovate, get the change, and then execute myself. And I had to kind of sell the propositions to my dad all the time and why we need it. So it was like a negotiation every time. And I'd say that particular business, now I'm out of that business now. I left to pursue our other business was growing so fast because I started another business while that was happening. And it was growing so fast that I actually left the other business. But now it's like arguably the most effective lead generation private project real estate business in the city for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. In 7 years, in 8 years. Yeah. So it was a big turnaround.
So what's your approach to innovation? Because you obviously have a grasp on how you innovate and what that process looks like for you, but I don't know what that process looks like for me. If I had my back up against the wall, I could probably figure it out. But I think a lot of people, that's an important aspect of even just self-growth and trying to innovate in themselves and what they want to do in their lives, but even professionally. I mean, what is your approach to innovation?
Yep. So innovation, you have to be innovating when your back's not against the wall. Like I've done both, and it's far easier to innovate when your back's not against the wall. So if you find yourself at the top of your game, that's when you've got to innovate. Jeff Bezos is the best at it, who obviously he owns Amazon, started Amazon, but he says every day is day one. So like you have to be thinking about your business 24/7 in terms of how can we make it better? I know it's amazing. How can we be better? How can we be better? It's just that question you ask every day. And the things on how can we be better is how can we attract more customers? How can we increase our margins? And how can we deliver a better service to our customers so they send more customers to us and they repeat purchase, right? And how do we do that in such a way that it's a great working environment so our staff and our people and everyone stays? So how do we innovate our culture so it keeps the best talent? And so all of those things have to be thought through. But the only way innovators go, wow, we're great here, we're not so great there, what can we do? How can we bring technology in to support us? Is it the right thing to do with more technology or less technology? What are some of the things we can do to actually invigorate more customers or more referrals, which is probably the best? Like if you're getting more referrals, then it means you're actually helping, your staff are happy, your customers are happy, and it's the best type of business you can attract is referral business. how can technology support us in reducing our costs, increasing our profits, and having a great work environment and growing? That's how you do it.
Yeah. Do you think networking plays a lot in getting other people's ideas and hearing about what other folks are doing?
I actually think modeling other people works. So like, and I read a lot of books on marketing. I read the latest thing. I'm subscribed to tons of, email subscription lists. I watch people on Instagram and Facebook and those things, and I watch, learn about Jeff Bezos, learn about Elon Musk, and you read their books and you figure out what's going on in their mind, how they work, how they operate. And it's more just about modeling them, I think, more than anything, because being an innovator, you have to kind of be an original thinker. And so you can take parts of other people, but you have to then put your own spin on it. So like, for example, with our network marketing business, we took elements of Russell Brunson's direct response marketing, so info product marketing, and that system of his perfect webinar model and all these things, and we just brought it down into our own duplicatable, simple system for network marketing. And we innovated the recruitment and development systems within that industry. And I probably got one of the best in the world, I think, in that now. But we took something that was working elsewhere and we brought it into ours because we saw how effective it was. That's a way to do it.
Okay, gotcha. So is it better to have a good business just on paper and everything, or is it better to have a good brand? What do you think is more important?
Well, I think now more than ever, the brand it's got more equity. It's got more power now than ever before. Personal brands. I mean, like I don't think brands like as in Nike, that's gone out. That's finishing, and personal brands is coming to the top. So like I feel like, for example, if I was still in real estate, I'd be building a personal brand around that. So like they're buying me, because people buy people, they don't buy things, right? They used to buy a brand, but I think people like to buy people now. So like, for example, if you were in real estate and you were the dude in real estate who was specialized, I'd be doing YouTube, I'd be doing Facebook, I'd be doing and I'd be attracting clientele based on their trust and likability of me, not necessarily of my brand. So for example, I think, Gary Vaynerchuk does a good job of that. People buy whatever he sells. He sells shoes, he sells this, it doesn't matter. They buy him. Yeah. So brand is now super important, but you have to structure your business in a way that it doesn't just depend on that brand. So you either have to diversify your income into other assets that produce more income, or you have to systemize your business so that it can run without you. Okay. And so you got to be careful. If you have a big, strong personal brand, sometimes it can't run without you. So a good, strong business doesn't need a good personal brand necessarily. I think it's powerful if you have one. But, a business can run, a great business runs without you when you're not there. That's an amazing business,
So how do you measure, because you obviously have a personal brand and you market off of, your name and your image and your story is, how do you kind of take stock of your own personal brand and say, we're going in the right direction, we're maybe a little off kilter here? How do you kind of take stock of your own personal brand?
Well, I make sure that my personal brand is like quality. So I don't ever do things that are going to compromise my trustability or credibility or anything like that. So just the way I act is always at a high standard. So I always play above the line. Whether I'm on a video or I'm doing this or that, I make sure I do an excellent job. It doesn't always have to be perfect, but strive for excellence in everything you do. Mm-hmm. I show up like a millionaire. Everything I do is like that. But also authentic and genuine and like, hey, life's not perfect and I'm still a human, and that's important. So I'm always doing that for my own personal brand. But in our business, people are buying us to an extent, but we have a system within our business. So when they come in, there's people within our business and our leaders within our business who go and who distribute our product. They actually model a lot of the stuff we do. So they've become almost like little replicas of us. And so if we got hit by a bus, the system that's in place now, they would still be able to propagate and grow the business without us. So our brand sets the standard. Our brand allows us to attract good people, and our brand gives us credibility and trustability within our organization. But our best people model that. So they can still run the business and the systems will fire without us. And a sign of a great network marketing business is that it works when you're not there. So I'm conscious of that to make sure that it's not my own personal brand that that makes the business grow. It's a group of people working a system, much like teenagers work McDonald's.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know, so it's a
exactly.
balance between systems and brand. I think is good.
Awesome. No, that's awesome. And because I want to bring it back, because I love learning about your business, and it's so cool to hear what it is that you do and how you implement your processes and train others, even on your own personal brand. I think that's so interesting, and that's something that I'm trying to learn more about. But I want to focus back on you, and what do you think that your greatest skill is, and what your greatest weakness is, and how do you complement the two?
Greatest skill is persuasion, one-on-one persuasion, getting people to buy into what we have. That's my best. I can do that. Yeah, face to face is good on any find anything. I'm really good at that. And systems. I'm pretty good at systems. You know, making sure that what we have works without us.
Mhm.
I've tried to hone those skills. And where I'm weak would be probably sometimes in the detail of things. You know, in research, I'm pretty weak. My wife's amazing at that.
Uh-huh.
In some forms of like not empathy. I have heaps of empathy, but like having a softer like feelings in
Uh-huh.
business. Like, oh, that's right, feelings first, and then I can talk about this. So I can be pretty like unemotional.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably a
Cut
weakness.
and dry business guy.
Yeah, like pretty matter of fact and stuff. And I guess that would be it. Sometimes also my weakness is not thinking big enough. You know, thinking bigger would be something I would want to. I'm working on now, as in catching myself. You know, think bigger. You got to think bigger. So
That's something that I caught myself on this week, because obviously there's 90 days to the end of the year,
yeah,
last quarter, and I was setting up and I'm finally getting some good business with my real estate stuff, and so now I've gotten past the ultra grind and the just nothingness of getting started in something new, and now I've got some consistent business, and so I'm thinking, okay, what's my goal for the next 90 days? And I set my goal, and I was thinking, I'm like, where do I want to be in 3 years, and what is this goal going to ultimately amount to? And obviously, you got to start somewhere, and the learning curve is long, but it gets taller and easier as you go. But I was like, I don't think that this goal is anywhere near what I know I can do and what I want to look back on and say that's what I got done. So I just started thinking, like, where getting more into that, not my 90-day vision, but my 3-year vision and my 5-year, my 10-year, and really figuring out, like, working that backwards. And so
yeah.
is that something that you practice is or are trying to do more of, I guess?
Well, I'm really conscious to. We have written goals, and I'm conscious to stretch myself to get to them. But I
Mm-hmm.
also know that things take time. But I'm trying not to let time be the dictator of the goal. So, like, I read this great quote from Elon Musk. It said, "Try and achieve your 10-year goal in the next 6 months." And
Yeah.
I was like, that's freaky. So I guess it's just that level of thinking, like it can be done. So
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like now? So rather than wait to go, 2 comma club in 5 years, how do I go 2 comma club in the next 60 days? Or
Yeah.
how do we in our network marketing business hit a platinum business, which is like, almost $1 million a year net profit? How do we do that now in the next 90 days instead of in 2 or 3 years time? And I don't have answers to it, but it dictates your actions for the day. So like if you have this audacious goal, say, you know what, just for fun, I'm going to put my 5-year goal into 6 months. And if you bring it back like that, then your thinking change. You think, okay, so if that's the case, what are my action items today that I need to do to get me there? And they're different. They're different from the 5-year one. You approach the day differently. You approach okay, so if I'm going to spend my hour here, is that really effective? So my wife and I have this saying, is this action going to take us to platinum? Is this going to take us to this? Is this action going to take us to that business goal? And that's a question you ask yourself. If you set the goal, is this action taking me closer, faster, or further away, slower? And they're good questions. You know, you got to ask yourself if you want to
Yeah.
go quicker.
It's
And
tough. It's tough to break
sometimes if
that
you
long
do,
timeline down.
well, sometimes I can feel like, you know, you can be cruising. All of a sudden when you do that, you crunch so much into a small space and you pressure cook yourself. And that's where growth tends to happen because you're imbalanced. You know, too many people I think are like, oh, I want to live a balanced life. I'm balanced here and balanced there and balanced and balanced. I'm like, this growth does not happen in balance. Growth and balance do not reside in the same place.
Right.
You have to have imbalance to find growth. So at moments in your journey, entrepreneurial or not, relate, whatever, it has to be super unbalanced for you to grow. So that's why setting those big goals, like for your big goals in the next 90 days, if you stretch them, that's where you're going to get the most growth, because it should feel like a pressure cooker. You're like, holy shit, I'm just getting pumped here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing sometimes, you know?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to your story of when you were building up the business from, you had your back against the wall, and then talking about innovation. It's best to do that when your back isn't against the wall. So trying to get uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable to be on the brink of failure, right? It's scary. Nobody
Yeah,
wants
you have
to
no
be there.
choice.
You don't know what the next day is going to bring you. And so when you're in a comfortable space, so many people obviously just take that for granted and sit there and stay in that box. But when you get to a point where you're there, you need to keep getting into a space where you're uncomfortable. That way you can keep growing and that you don't fall back into having your back against the wall.
Yeah, so you have to actually put your own back against the wall in good times. So for example, we just signed up for a 100-kilometer race that's in 1 month. And it's an example of throwing yourself into something, the unknown, the scariness of that is just like, whoa. So chucking yourself in there from a personal health standpoint, there's challenges to throw in front of yourself. David Goggins does a great job of talking about this in his book called Can't Hurt Me. And it's just about throwing personal challenges in front of yourself on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I did that this year. I did a boxing program and did my first fight. I'm going to run a 100-kilometer race. These are things that get me uncomfortable on a physical level that are then going to make me tougher on a business level. But it's other things too, you know, like go and speak more. We're doing a book launch event in a month, you know, first time ever. I don't know how to do a book launch. Doing lots more podcasts. I don't, you know, I even wrote a book this year for the first time. Wrote it, did a course, launched it. It's only 3 weeks old, and it's like, there's so many things I'm doing that I need to do to get to the next level, you know, like taking our team to Bali on a retreat. It's I don't even know how we're going to pay for it yet, but it's going to be there, you know, those types of things. So you have to think bigger. You know, what are we going to do to launch the team? What are we going to do to take knowledge and launch a separate business? And how are we going to scale that? And how are we going to test ourselves on a personal level? So when we're telling stories, we can say, well, let me tell you about the grind of a 100-kilometer race. It's kind of like the grind of a business. This is how it ties in. Mm-hmm. And just developing your story more and more and more and more, because success is built on success. You know, so throwing yourself into stuff that scares you is a really fast way to grow.
Yeah, and I think it was Grant Cardone that said this, and I don't fully endorse this advice, but he's like, go out and buy like whatever dream car you want, because even if you can't afford it, because you do that, you're gonna have to pay for it. So that's gonna kick your ass into gear and you're gonna have to start making some more money because you got to pay for this car now, right?
Yeah. It's called leverage. And Tony Robbins talks about it in his book, Creating Leverage in Your Mindset. And I think I've seen my dad do this before, where he does all that. He's like, shit, I've got to get out of bed now and hustle. And so there's different, you respond to different things based on, you know, your character. So I think that's smart, but like, you can do it in different ways. You don't have to go and buy a sports car. You can create leverage.
Yeah, that was just a funny example.
Yeah. But it's true.
At entrepreneur gurus, but so I want to ask it a couple more other questions. And this isn't just business or anything, but just normal people. They're trying to make it. They're trying to get out of the normal. They're maybe trying to do something, take just the next step towards growth or success, or, you know, a job, promotion, whatever it may be, right? What is your advice for somebody that is looking for that next step, that next opportunity, but they don't really know where to start and they don't have the resources?
Okay. Well, the very first thing you have to learn how to do is win. Winning is like it's a habit. And so you have to get used to winning. You know, what it feels like, how to overcome adversity to win. And the best way, I was talking to a guy actually in Messenger, he messaged me, and he lives here in Australia. He said, look, I don't have that many friends. Can I be your friend? I'm like, you can, but like, you're going to earn that like earn my time. And so I said, what do you want in life? And he said, tell me what he wanted and what he was sick of. And so I know with him, if I'm going to mentor him, I felt like this kid needs some help. The first thing to do is learn how to win, and you don't need money to do that. So I said, buy this book. It was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and read it and finish it. Right? First thing, read that. It's called Can't Hurt Me, and it's by David Goggins. He's a freak Navy SEAL. He's amazing. Anyway, so I said to him, read this book. And that's the first test. Read that book and finish it, because most people pick up a book and don't finish it. That's a problem. If you are picking up books and not finishing them, that's showing up everywhere else in your life. So the first step is to buy that book. The second, I said to him, sign up for a marathon. He's like, what? I'm like, sign up for a marathon. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you want to learn what it's like to win and overcome adversity? I know you're not a runner. Sign up for a freaking marathon and do it. He's like, damn, okay. So I don't know if you've done it yet, but that once you read a book and finish it, get inspired, set a goal to run your body 42 kilometers, right? And you finish it and it's painful, but you did it, you start to build up this mental strength and this cookie jar of achievements. That's one achievement. Now you go, okay, now what's my next achievement? Okay, doesn't have to be sports driven. I'm going to write an ebook. So you sit down and you write your ebook. Or I'm going to launch a network marketing business. Great. Who's the network marketing business with? Who's your mentor? Where's the next event? What's the product? And start a business. But then start it to finish it, as in build a full-time income from it. Don't just dabble in stuff. But like learning how to read a book and apply it and run a marathon and finish it is a great example of achievement. And if you can't do that, you aren't going to be able to apply those achievement skills and habits into other things like business. It starts even in your body. I see someone who's overweight and they are not achieving, right? Straight up, you can tell that they're failing in probably many areas of their life. Start with your body, get that sorted out and achieve things there. Then achieve things in your relationship, because it's there and you can do relationship courses and apply it and achieve great things there. And achieve things in your business, but like do something and execute on it, and then have a measurable goal to achieve. And don't stop until you freaking get it. And that's how winning's done.
Yeah, man.
That's what I do.
That's perfect. No, that's awesome, because that a lot of people just don't know where to get started. And that's kind of the toughest part, especially when you're young, and even you said you got out of college, went into college, you didn't know what you wanted to do. Yeah. And it's tough when there's so much, just you're looking out at the whole space and you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So it's important. Yeah. And you had some good direction with people in your life. And I think that having somebody to kind of coach you and mentor you is really important. And that's what I think cuts the corner for a lot of people in life to really jump the gap. So what's some good advice for seeking a mentor, having a mentor, and keeping one and using it to their advantage?
Well, I think the most important thing is to decide what type of business you're going to build part-time as a side hustle. So you have your job, and it's important you show up to your job, and it's important you look after your body. If you got a healthy body and you've got a job, you're good. Like that, you're in a nice space to begin. So if you haven't got that, start with your body, get off the couch, go do stuff and make it a lifestyle, and show up to your job and work at it to get paid your active income. Then what you really need to do is you need to decide, okay, what am I going to start as my side hustle? Because every great business is started as a side hustle. Am I going to be in affiliate marketing? And am I going to be in network marketing? And I'm going to create an info product and sell it? Am I going to start an Amazon business? Am I going to become a coach? Am I going to start a podcast? Am I going to, be an Instagram influencer? Am I going to start a YouTube channel? Whatever it is, there's all these different ideas you can do with the internet, right? Look at them and explore them and interview people that are in them and figure out which one, from a cost benefit analysis and ROI and time frame and everything and personal passion, that you're most interested in. Okay. And then go, I think this is cool. I like this person. I like what they're doing here. This sits well with me. Okay, great. This is going to be my chosen side hustle. Then when you choose it, buy the course, buy the books, read them, then get close to the people who are really good at it. It's called proximity. Paying to get around the people who are really good at it. And they will, if you pay to get mentored by this, so you pay to be around them, they'll accept the mentorship will happen organically. All right. But you got to pay. And the more you pay, the more you pay attention. Be okay with buying the course, buying the book, and paying to get close to those people, right? If you want to be a great coach, personal development coach, you pay to go and hang out with Tony Robbins for a year. Pay the money. If you want to be a great info products, you pay the money to go and hang out with Russell Brunson. If you want to be great at Amazon, you go and pay the money to be close to Adam Hudson. If you want to, whatever it is, network marketing, you pay to be close to me, right? As an example. But do that and stick with it. And say, this is my side hustle. I'm going to pay for the mentorship and invest the money in getting good at it because I know the side hustle is going to pay me back. It's an investment. It's going to return me. And stick with it for 5 to 7 years.
Wow.
That's the reality. Yeah, truly. It is, of course.
It's true because you can't, not everyone's going to be an overnight millionaire. It takes a long time.
Well, no one is. Yeah. The overnight success thing is a myth. It doesn't actually, it's not real. It's not real. If you want to be in real estate, like if I was going to be in commercial and I was friends with you, I would be hanging out with you. Mm-hmm. Saying, teach me everything you know. I'll shadow you. I'll follow you around. You have to pay me. I'll buy you coffee, whatever. Just proximity, getting around people that are going to show you, I did that with my dad for some. I just hung around him. And I learned heaps, and so, yeah. But I hang around I read a lot of books. I'm reading this from Russell Brunson. I want to be around big people.
That's another thing, and that's a good way too. And I put that on my, I think it was like my Instagram or whatever. It was like somebody had asked me, like a buddy, just us talking about mentorship and trying to get into a space that he wanted to. I said, start reading books because the people around, it's tough to meet people in person right now, obviously, and network's a little tougher. But these books are ways of people who've done the deal, gone through and been ultra successful. They are just naturally givers because most of these people were in a spot where they didn't think that was going to happen to them. That wasn't their plan. They didn't know. They worked really hard, and now they're sharing their experiences.
Yeah, totally.
In totality, in a book that costs like $15.
Yeah, because they want to make an impact. They want legacy, and that's the way to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wrote a book. You're passing on things, you like to mentor people, but only people that are hungry and coachable.
Exactly. And I want to be mindful of your time, but I want to hear about, speaking of books, your book. If you don't have to tell us the whole story right now. Obviously, I want people to it, and I'm going to go out and purchase it and check it out. But kind of give us the back cover of it. What's it about, and what's the story?
Well, so the time I did. I won this award in our company called the Man of the Year, and I was grafting and hustling for 5 years to get that. Then this guy who saw me get the award reached out to me, and long story short, he got me to start his boxing program. I did that, completed that, got fighter of the series, really did my best, and then I kept training with him, and he said, "Man, you need to write a book," and he really put the screws into me as a mentor. He said, "Man, I want to challenge you." So that's what really created the book. And he's a boxing Hall of Famer. He's a tough dude. He's professional. We're doing the 100K race together with my wife. And so he was the one that got me to start it. And why I did it was because I noticed that people have no freaking clue about money. None. They don't know how to save it. They don't know why they're saving it. If they have any savings, they don't know how to invest it to get more money back. They haven't read any books on money. They don't typically finish books. Most people just don't have any freaking clue where to start when it comes to money. So if they don't understand that, they're not going to understand how to get into business, right? So it's a short book, short read, but very effective. And what they'll learn in it is the 3 steps that I've used to create independent wealth in my 30s, where I've been able to leave my job and create multiple streams of income. That's what they'll learn. And it's 3 steps. And it's basically how to save money, how to create money, and how to grow money. And that's it. And it's very simple. And that's why it's been so well received, because it's so simple. They don't need to sit there and go through a book like this about money. They just simple, because money's simple. And the whole objective of the book is to simplify money for everyone and take the complexity out of it so they can all understand it and go out and create it, have independence, have abundance, and not let it be the thing that stops them having a juicy life, basically. The basics.
And what's the title of the book?
It's called Money Grows on Trees. All right. And you can get the book if you want. It's moneygrowsontreesbook.com is the URL. Moneygrowsontreesbook.com. You can jump in, grab a copy. There's a course there if you want to go the next step. It's just how to plant your money tree and grow it. It's an actual physical. You can execute and start actually making money from that book. So I love it because it's like for the doers,
Yeah, well, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna try and follow the steps, and I'm gonna be a little case study for you if I can.
Yeah, 100%, man. Definitely, you'll get some value from it for sure. I'm hoping that when you read it, it'll give you the money principles that you can keep forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for being on the show. Very exciting to have you as first international guest. Jordan year is international.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate you having me on, and thanks for your time. And I'm stoked to be your first international. It's great, and well done on what you're doing. I love it. Congratulations. It's great to see young people like yourself actually giving it a go and executing so well. So, very impressive.
Well, I appreciate it. And if I'm ever in Australia, I'll hit you up. I would love to visit. That is one of my top places to go and visit soon. I've never been out of the country. So that would be great. But hey, if you're ever in Texas, ever in Austin, anyway, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. And I'll let you know whenever this comes out. But thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Lloyd. Talk to you later.
See you, man.